everyone, Simsy Claire here and welcome back. Today we're doing another Sims 4 speed build. Today we're in Brindleton Bay and we are building a house for the Simmers Digest June Build Challenge. You can see that picture in the top left hand corner of your screen. I was so excited to try this out because I saw this picture for the challenge right after I downloaded Eco Lifestyle, and I thought that a lot of the wood textures that we got in that game would look perfect on the outside of the house for this. And I'm also always looking for modern houses to try and test myself with because I'm not that good at them and I don't always enjoy building that way. But recently with Eco Lifestyle, I've been getting more into it and trying some new things, so I've been looking around for new inspiration for the modern builds, and I thought that this one was perfect because it brought in some of those warmer wood tones, so it wasn't as cold and clinical as some modern builds can get, particularly in The Sims. With all the swatches of couches we have, I find that a lot of the times they don't look inviting. It looks very very clinical. And here I am just trying to figure out the shape of the build. So as you saw in the picture, there's a whole bunch of these columns and beams made out of what looks like metal. It's either metal or stone, sticking out from the side of the house. So I was trying to place those as accurately as possible. I do end up moving them around quite a bit. You can see me start to do that here because it felt like every time I was looking at the picture, it was changing on how things were looking, how wide things were, how what place they were in, and particularly in The Sims because nothing can be as exact. Even 1 square by 1 square pieces seem bigger than what they look like in real life, and so I was having a real issue trying to proportion, make the right proportions for this build. And then here you see me trying to do the staircase. So the staircase in the picture is this large corner piece. It doesn't break up like it does here in The Sims, but The Sims does not allow us to do that with our staircases, so unfortunately I did have to do 2 separate staircases instead of 1 large one. But I think it looks okay. It was the closest that I could do in The Sims anyway, so it's not like I could do much about it. But I do like the way it looks, and I think that the railings make it look a bit more cohesive. And then here I am trying to figure out a floor. So the floor in the picture definitely looked white, but a lot of the whites that we have in the game look more gray or taupey. So I was kind of trying to figure out a white one to work. And I do end up changing the staircase because it looks so stark against the white tone of the floor that I used. So I do end up changing the color of the stairs just so that they match the floor that I used a bit better. And then here I am trying to figure out the grays that I want to use for the metal or stone pieces. I end up changing these a little bit later just so that they're a bit darker. They look a bit more stone-like, or metal-like, my bad. Just because I think in the picture they're not black, but they are a very dark gray, and I wanted to make sure that that was portrayed properly. And then here I am, I pulled out the Eco Lifestyle wallpapers that we got with the wood. I've been using these a lot, but I thought that they were the closest matching thing to the wood on this house, so I figured it was okay since I was trying to do this for a challenge, so I had to be as accurate as possible. And then for the back of the house, they said that we could have free reign because you can't really see the back of the house in the picture, so as long as it kind of matched, it would be okay. And I tried to just bring all of the architectural features from the front of the house to the back. You see me doing one of those offshoots here, and I end up turning that into an actual balcony. It's really small, but I think I end up getting an art easel or something out here. And then I do some more of those stone columns, and I basically just try and make it feel like the back of the house is cohesive with the front. And I used a whole bunch of half walls to create these columns, just so that way they could have proper endings. The only issue with this is that means that the top of the columns are open because you can't close off half walls, you can't put a roof on them. So I do end up filling this half wall right here that you see me messing with a plant. I put on move objects and I just size down a shrub and I place it in there, particularly since I had to fence in the whole top of it, and I couldn't unfence that without unfencing the whole top of the house, so I do place a plant in here in a second. And then I move back down and I try and match the back porch to the front porch. I pull over the same flooring and fencing from the front porch, and this is when I changed the color of the stairs, because in the back it was a bit more obvious that the stairs were different colors than what the floor was, even though both of them were technically white swatches. So I just went in and grabbed a gray swatch for those stairs, and it matched the white swatch for the floor perfectly, so it's just how the Sims colors work. And then here I am trying to figure out the fence. So if you saw in the picture, there's quite a tall fence around the house, or at least around the front of the house, and I was having an issue finding a fence that I really thought matched, because I thought that this one from Eco Lifestyle was tall enough, but I thought that it wasn't modern enough. Like, it didn't look, there definitely wasn't any holes in the fence that were surrounding this house, so I didn't want to use like a lattice style fence. And that wallpaper from Spa Day looked absolutely perfect to use for this fence. It was the right color and the right like lines. They went horizontal instead of vertical. So I decided to fence the house in with half walls. This did lead to an issue though, where I couldn't connect the fence to the house because it kept raising it up on the foundation. So the fence is separate from the house, but I end up putting plants there, so you can't really tell. It's almost just like they run into the plants. And then here I was trying to mess with it to see if I could get it to work to attach it to the house, but it kept doing this weird thing where it was raising the top of the half wall without actually raising the wall itself. So I end up just leaving it, but I do make the half wall a little taller. I think I use the medium, or even maybe the medium tall height, just so it matches closer to the height in the picture. And then here I am just messing with the proportions a bit, because the lot in the picture wasn't as big as the lot I'm building on. But I chose this lot because you could see all these trees and like greenage around the picture. So I wanted to make sure that I was in an area that had all of those all those greeneries to match the picture. Although I do end up, so I'm building this on Hindquarter Hideaway, but for the gallery pictures, it's in Windenburg, because when I tried to upload this to the gallery, it wasn't putting, since I had tried to angle it so you could see all the trees in the background, and I had enough space to do a longer but not as wide house, it was not facing the right way on the lot. So when you went into the gallery, the picture for the front of the house was actually the side of it. So I placed it on a different lot so that way the pictures in the gallery would look okay, but it is built and will place fine on Hindquarter Hideaway. You just have to rotate it a bit. And then here I am, I placed some pavers from the debug menu because that's what was in the picture. It wasn't like a sidewalk, it was definitely pavers in between grass. And then the grass in the picture is also a lot darker, it's a bit more polished, so I went ahead and terrain painted all of the grass in the house so that way it matched the picture. And I had a real issue landscaping this because you'll see I go into the debug menu and I try and pull out a whole bunch of different plants that I think will match the shrubs that we have in the picture, but I can't find any that I think match exactly, so I do kind of fudge it a little bit, and I try to find ones, but they're not perfect, but I hope that's okay. But here I am trying to find the door. It needed to be a glass door because that's what's in the picture. So I grab out the one from base game, and then I'm trying to figure out the windows. I do cut out a bit of me looking for the windows because it took me forever. Like, I'm actually embarrassed to say how long that these windows took me. So there you see I just cut out some of it, and I end up using the ones from Eco Lifestyle. The really big ones are from Eco Lifestyle, but I think the thin one is Island Living, although it could be the thin ones that we got with Eco Lifestyle. And then here I am, I'm using this sign from Get to Work or Dine Out, because in the picture you can see that there is a house number on the house, but obviously we don't have house numbers in The Sims, so I thought sizing that down it looked like a house number. So I just wanted to put that in there for just like an extra detail. And then this is where I was talking about with the plants, trying to find ones that would actually work. I struggled so much with this. You can see me, I flipped through this debug menu probably 100 times, and right now I'm filtered on Get Together because I'd seen one earlier that I thought would work, but I couldn't find it, and I really didn't like how any of them were looking, so I go in and I end up trying to use this one because that was the closest I could find to the ones in the picture, but I couldn't get it close enough to the house, and I didn't want to have to mess with the stairs again. So then I go through and I try and find whatever plant I can, basically. The issue was that the plants in the picture were a lot darker than the leaves that we get on the ones in the game. So I was trying to find ones that had the darker leaves, which are all the debug plants, but the debug plants also don't have as much texture in them as the ones we get to build with in the game. So I was having an issue, like they all looked plastic to me, kind of, so I ended up going with these base game hedges, and I think that they look okay. They're not exactly perfect to the picture, but they're close enough, and I'm happy with how they look in the end. And then here I am just searching through the menu to see if there's any flowers I want to add, and I decide against it. And there, that jump was me skipping over the floor plan, because it also took me quite a bit of time to work out the floor plan, because I wanted this house to be more than one bedroom. I wanted to get a kid's room in here, so I needed to try and fit it, and I do end up fitting one upstairs, and it's a decent sized bedroom. I get a kid's bedroom, 2 bathrooms, I believe. Yeah, 2 bathrooms and a parent's bedroom. So I am really happy with how the floor plan works out. And here I decided to bring some of the eco lifestyle wallpaper that I used on the outside inside. It helped me out a lot with this build because, as I said, sometimes I feel like modern builds can look a bit clinical. So bringing some warm woods in there definitely helped me kind of figure out the style that I wanted to go for. I mess around with the couches a lot though, and it takes me quite a bit because I initially wanted to use the Moschino couches because I really liked how they looked, and it was kind of what I had envisioned for this house, like the style of them, but none of the colors were really going with how I wanted the house to go. I wanted there to be pops of color, but the Moschino ones are just so bright. Like I didn't like, I really didn't like how bright they were. I wanted them to be more muted colors. And then I thought that the black looked pretty stark against the warm wood, even though it matched the windows. I thought it didn't quite go with the look I was going for. Now, I contemplated just going for black and white, but I have another build up that is pretty much straight black and white. So then I was like, no, I probably shouldn't do that. And then there you see me trying to go through the swatches of this couch, trying to find one that I like. And I liked the pink one. I liked how it looked. And I also liked this red one. But I didn't think it was going to really be the best for this build. So I do end up changing the couches to the tiny living ones, as I said earlier. Because I just think those have wooden like bottoms to them. Like the legs and everything are wooden. And I think that those looked a lot better here in this space. And the colors aren't as bright either, so we still get like the purples and the pink tones that I was looking for, but not too vibrant. And then I was thinking about also using the bowling stuff couch, because I do actually really like this couch. I use it quite a bit, but I didn't think that the white, I really wanted some color to it, and the only color swatch that we have with white in it are like these spotted ones, and I really didn't like how that looked with the wood. So this is when I pick out those tiny living couches, and I just use this swatch here, which is probably my favorite swatch for these couches, because I love the purple that we got with this pack. Like I think that purple is absolutely gorgeous, and it matches the ones that we got with the Seasons items, which you'll see me pull out the Seasons table right here. And I do size it down, but the table still works, and I do still place things on it, and they don't rise above the table, so I do size these tables down quite a bit, pretty much every time that I use them, actually, because I just think that they're so big. And I know that there's a lot of people who have coffee tables that big in real life, but in The Sims it just looks so disproportionate to the other items in the game. And then here I am placing some shelving units here. Now I do end up adding more shelves in a second, because when I try to place some of these items onto the shelves, they clip into the TV. Like this plant isn't that bad, and the tissue paper or the tissues aren't that bad either, but this gaming console, you can see here, clips so badly into it, so I add a couple more shelves off to each side, and then I clutter those up with just like random decorations and random pieces, and I think that that brings a lot of homeliness to this build, so I really like that I ended up doing this. It makes the build look more lived in and more like it is actually a family home. And then I added these books here just because there is one other bookshelf in the game, but it's in the kids' bedroom, so I figured it'd be really inconvenient to have everyone walk into the kids' bedroom to get to the books. So I added this one in here. And then I like what I do with these boxes, so I size them down and I stack them on top of each other, and I think it looks like the decorative boxes that you can get from like craft stores and stuff, and I think it just looks so cute. And then here I am adding these pictures. These are probably my favorite wall decorations that we get. I like to size them down and do things like this where they're on the shelf, but the issue is that when you do this, the picture in the back actually looks like it's floating above the shelf because it is technically farther back than the other one. So I just placed that plant there to make sure that you couldn't see where it was kind of floating over a little bit. And then I placed these candles from the debug menu. Now I use these candles here and then one other time in the build. I don't know why they're not very modern looking, but I really like these candles. I think that they're gorgeous. So I've been trying to use them a lot more, particularly because I have a lot of candles. You can see it in the back of my face cams when I do them. I have like 4 candles just in my bedroom. So candles are probably like my favorite thing to keep lit all the time, just because they smell really nice. So I definitely, now that we have lightable candles in the game, I've been using them quite a bit. And then here I am I'm starting with the kitchen, so I moved the door over a little bit just so I could fit a bigger space in here for the kitchen, and the door does still work. I did play test it. Even though it's right behind the stairs there's plenty of room for the door to slide open and for your Sims to get out. And here I was initially going to place a rug here and leave it open, but you do see me in a minute. I end up pulling out some countertops and using them for more space in the kitchen, just because I needed to get a sink in here, and I kind of didn't like how open, like there was just a lot of empty space right by that back door. So I was really happy that I was able to fit in a breakfast bar counter area. And here I start pulling out some of the clutter for the kitchen counters. I really like cluttering up counters like this. I just think it looks so nice. Like it looks more livable, kind of like that area by the TV that I did. I don't do it in all of my builds though, or if I do it, sometimes I cut it out because I take so long to build. And like a lot of these videos, like this one, I think I cut it down to just under 30 minutes, but when I started this video, it was at almost 2 hours, and it's just from all the time that I spend trying to go into the debug menu and like find all the clutter items and everything. So sometimes I do cut out me cluttering items, so I do apologize if there's ever like a bare kitchen and then in the screenshots there's cluttered items, but it's just because I'm trying to keep these videos from being too long. And then I'm trying to find some stuff to put on the walls. I go with this picture, but I move it over to there because I liked the idea of like a chalkboard where like the family could write notes, because as I said, there is a kid's bedroom in this build. So I thought maybe instead of using that parenting board, like we could pretend that chalkboard was like where the family wrote notes to each other and like maybe planned out family meals or something. And then here I'm decorating the front. I use the umbrella rack and the heating thing as I do in all of my builds. And then I get a couple of plants in here, but I also put the dining room table over here. I put it on the wall off to the left here. It's a little bit of an awkward space, but it does fit 4 tables, and considering the build itself only fits 3, or my bad, it fits 4 chairs, but the build itself only sleeps 3, so I thought that it was pretty nice, and I really like the way that the table looks and that the way these eco lifestyle chairs look with this table, because the woods match almost perfectly. And then I'm trying to find something to put like decoration wise on the table. I just grab a fruit bowl and then the salt and pepper shakers from Cool Kitchen, and then I start with these pictures here behind the chairs or behind the table, but I end up going with one of the wall decorations that we got from Eco Lifestyle. I am obsessed with these wall decorations. I know I've been using this pack quite a bit, but I'm trying to make it more versatile. I do have a base game build coming up soon. It should be up right after this one. If not right after this one, then 2 builds after this one. And then I have a couple of builds that I built before Eco Lifestyle came out that I kind of put on the back burner, just so I could try out the new pack and start my Let's Play and everything. So I have a couple of builds. I have a vacation home and then a house in Strangerville. So we'll take a break from Eco Lifestyle for a little bit. But for right now, I'm just really loving all these objects and I'm really enjoying building with them. So I hope that's okay. And then here I am trying to find something to go on the staircase. I don't like leaving the staircases bare. Sometimes I just make them feature walls and I give them a different wall texture than the other ones. But I like to put like pictures and stuff on them. So here you see I did use a different wall texture. I used the one from the outside. And then I also did some of the wall decorations. And then that little like flip around thing that was going on there was me dragging the flooring from the bottom floor and then the wallpaper from the bottom floor up top here, so that way it all matched. And then this, I'm using the 9 key to place some plants and decorations into these windows. This is where I add more of those candles. The left window I end up just lining completely with candles. It doesn't really make the most sense, but I thought it'd be like really cool if like you were walking up a set of stairs and there was just these candles lighting your way up to the top floor of the house. I don't know. I had the candles and I wanted to use them, and none of the curtains that I found could fit over these windows, so I needed to put something in that window so it didn't just look bare. But here I am. I used all different color candles, so it's not just plain white ones, and I just used the basic cylindrical ones, but I think it looks really cool. And then here I am, I'm going to decorate this wall here. I use the tiny living pictures, but I size them, I do different sizes with them, and I just basically fill up this wall, just like with a mural of pictures, just so it's not blank when you come up the stairs. And I'm using the doors from Get Famous. I either use these doors or the ones from Seasons inside of my houses, because a lot of the doors we have in the game are definitely more for exterior doors, or they're just so plain. So those are my 2 favorite ones to use on the interior, so that way like I'm not just using these plain wooden doors. And then here I am trying to figure out a door to go into the ensuite for the parents' bedroom. As you can see, both of these bedrooms are kind of tiny. Now, the parents' bedroom I do actually think might even be smaller than the kids' bedroom, but they get the ensuite, so I figured that was okay. And I can fit everything in there. You will see me, though, I take out one of the walls so that I can fit a little cubby hole so I can actually get a dresser into that room. And then here I am just picking out the flooring and the wallpapers for these rooms, because I didn't do it when I did it downstairs because I was having an issue trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. So I waited until I was ready to actually build in these rooms before I made any decisions. And then here I am moving on into the parents' bedroom. I used the fabricated Eco Lifestyle bed because it's a bit more simpler than the one that we actually got with the game. And I contemplated using one of the ones that I got. It was a SimKia bed, but we weren't supposed to use any custom content in this build, so that way it showed up on the gallery. So I wanted to make sure that I used one that we got in-game. And then I'm placing a couple decorations on the side tables, and then this is where I cut out that wall there so I can place a dresser in here, and I get a dresser and a mirror. And then I move on into the bathroom next after I place a couple of clutter items on here, and it's just basic clutter. It's a couple of perfumes and what's called the body care essentials for men. And then going in here, I contemplated like making the balcony useful when I was originally building this, but then I realized that I needed a place for a bathroom, and I didn't think it would make sense to have a balcony off of the bathroom, so I decided just to leave the window there. And here I am just cluttering up the bathroom. I do this in pretty much all of my builds. It's nothing new, you've seen it before. And then I wanted to get one of those jacuzzi tubs in there because I do like those objects, but I didn't think it was gonna fit, and I prefer showers in gameplay, so I wanted to make sure that they did have a shower. And if I had to choose between a shower and the jacuzzi tub, I would definitely still choose the shower. And then here we are in the kids' bedroom. So I used the Parenthood shower, the shower and bath combo, and I did decorate this room for kind of like a sports fan. So I used the orange swatch in this one, and then I use a lot of oranges, yellows, and blues in the kids' room and in this bathroom. And then I was trying to find bathroom clutter for kids in particular, but I couldn't find any that I really liked, so I decided just to move into the kids' bedroom. And again, I use one of the fabricated beds just so it's cohesive in the family, but I use the orange swatch, and then I use these items from the kids room pack. I use these items quite a bit when I do kids rooms. I know that that's kind of cliche, kids room pack for kids rooms, but I really like all these items. I think they added a lot to gameplay and a lot to decoration wise for kids rooms, particularly in terms of like you can see it right here in terms of wall decorations and everything. I think that they work really well. And then here I am pulling out a couple of the sports related ones, because as I said, I did imagine that this kid really enjoyed sports. So I pull out a couple of the posters with like soccer balls on them and cleats and everything, and some basketball posters as well. And then I clip this table into that bookshelf. You saw me do that real quick there, just to give the kid like a desk area to do his homework. And they have units like that at IKEA, and I love IKEA, so I wanted to try and bring that into the game. And then here I am moving on to the outside. So I just went around and placed some more windows. It was really easy to place these windows since I did have that little one square spot that didn't actually look into anything, so I could place the windows pretty much wherever I wanted. And then I'm just doing a little seating area out here, and then I also think I get an art easel. Yeah, I grab an art easel and I place it in this corner here. I figured one of the parents or maybe the kid like to do art. And then here I am just extending the fence, or the half wall I'm using as the fence. And I'm doing this just so I can cut back on the land basically that I have to fill. But I also wanted there to be like kind of bringing some of the more natural trees and everything over to the area by the house. So I wanted to kind of look like they had fenced off their area, but they were still very much in nature. And then I'm giving them a pool just because I wanted to use these lawn chairs that we got with Eco Lifestyle. And I also, I like putting pools in builds. I don't do it all the time, but if I have a lot of space in the backyard, I do use it to kind of fill up some of that space. And then here I am using one of the tables from Perfect Patio, I believe. And I'm just using that as like an outdoor dining area. And then I cut right up to the roof. So this is the rooftop bar, I'm gonna call it. This is gonna be the parents' entertaining area. So I get a bar and a grill, and then I get some lights. I think I end up using the city living ones, the ones that are on the wall. Then I place a couple of items for party use, so I get a speaker, a table, and a horseshoe ring, because I thought that would be kind of fun for, them to play at while they were having their party. But besides that, that is it for this build, so I hope you all enjoyed this one, and stick around for the next one, so I'll see you all then. Bye! Thank you.